Hey, it's EG. Welcome to the audio version of the Be Yourself Marketing newsletter. And if you haven't checked out the podcast yet, there are real conversations with entrepreneurs just like you, and they're building on their own terms because your best marketing strategy is the one you were born with. Find it wherever you listen. Now, let's get into the newsletter. You're ready, roadblock. If you've worked with me before, you're probably already going to roll your eyes listening to this because you've heard it 100 times before. Something is better than nothing. It's never going to be perfect, and you won't know until you actually put it out there. And yes, there's a difference between motion and momentum. But here's what I don't say enough, and it's usually the moment people stop nodding and start resisting. Clarity and confidence do not come first. And you don't get to decide if it's good. The market does. Here's where it shows up in real life. Right before we have to let someone else see it. I had 2 conversations this week. Both of them started the same way. I've been building this thing, and they both ended the same way too. Now, they're smart, capable, insanely impressive, doing the work most people don't, and yours truly included. They both had an idea and dove headfirst into building it. It was an app. But here's what was missing. No audience, no one using it, no one reacting to it, just their opinion, which, if we're being honest, is the least reliable data point in the entire process. Now, don't get me wrong, this is an important first step, but you also need the feedback from your audience. Not just anyone, not just people that you know, not just your friends. It has to be those that would want the thing that you're offering. Motion feels productive, but it's lying to you, and that's what traps us, because you're doing something, and there's probably a lot of hours going into it, but it's safe, and safe doesn't get results. Now, sharing your idea publicly, that's the moment your stomach drops a little bit, maybe a lot. But now it's not like just an idea anymore. Now it can be judged, or ignored, or picked apart, or worse, nothing. No replies, no feedback, just silence. It's like planting in a greenhouse and never taking the plant outside. It stays protected. You control everything, but eventually you do have to move it outside where you don't control anything anymore. And that's where things get exposed. But that's also the only place it can actually grow. And the moment you do, that's when you might hear, "This isn't good enough. This doesn't work. This isn't for me." Ironically, that's also where everything you want lives. The feedback, the improvement, and yes, the money. So you're ready to launch, but not ready to be seen? This is where most people stop. So for one person, I offered to make some introductions to people in the tech startup space, and the other I asked to test with my own information. And then something interesting happened. They both pulled back. The moment I offered to introduce them to real people, users, collaborators, investors, actual feedback, everything shifted. Not excitement, hesitation. You could feel it. It was palpable. Because now it wasn't hypothetical anymore. Things got real, quickly. And real means someone can say, "This doesn't work." One of them literally said, "I just need a little bit more time before showing anyone." But what they really meant was, "I'm not ready to hear what people think." And that's the part no one tells you about building something. Now, here's the pattern, and you've probably done this already too. Once you see it, you won't unsee it. People will trust their doubts more than their results. You'll ignore what you already know, avoid real feedback, and still expect momentum. That's not how this works. You don't get to decide if it's good. You don't get to decide if you're ready. Now, spoiler alert, you're never going to be completely ready. You don't even get to decide if you're qualified. The market decides. Your customers will tell you clearly and quickly, but only if you show up. So here's what that looked like for me. This newsletter launched almost a year ago. There was no grand plan to turn it into a solid income stream, no giant audience or following, no earth-shattering strategy beyond the "they ask you answer" framework. I knew I wanted to monetize, but I wasn't sure how. And I'm still experimenting, but I just got started. before I felt ready. And if I'm being honest, I actually almost didn't. I kept putting it off and coming up with excuses until I finally invested a lot of money on a program on how to monetize newsletters. I remember starting and staring at that first issue thinking, who's actually going to care? Who's going to read, right? Who's going to want my ramblings? Like, do they even make any sense? What if this is just a waste of time and money? Well, the $2 changed everything. In that first month, I got 50 subscribers after personally asking 75. One issue per week, I managed $2. It wasn't even enough for a proper cup of coffee, but I was ridiculously excited because it wasn't about the money, because for the first time, it wasn't just in my head anymore. People subscribed and stayed, and they clicked and replied. It was proof of concept, and it didn't stop there. So I kept going, not guessing, not assuming, just listening. I heard about what you like, what don't like, and what you wanted more of. So I adjusted. There's fewer memes, more subheads, and stronger storytelling. Not because I felt, not because I felt. Listen, I'm going to say it again. Not because I felt like it was better, but because you told me. You did, with opens and clicks and replies. So what happened next? Well, here we are 11 months later. That original $2 for the month has grown. On average, I'm roughly covering the monthly subscription for Beehive, every single send. And I'm sending twice a week, which means 1 month now pays for the entire year's subscription. All from something that started as, this might be a dumb idea that wastes my time and I don't have. But hey, that's not even the best part. It's also brought referrals, coaching clients, extra income. And I'm helping others structure and launch their own newsletters that are giving them the clarity and confidence they wouldn't have gotten if they kept their ideas locked away. That's something I didn't even plan on. So then I tried something else. This month, I added this audio version. It's literally me reading the newsletter, obviously no AI clone voice, and you can tell from my stumbling, rambling, and knocking things over mid-recording. Yes, it's messy. But that's exactly why people are connecting with it. It's me, being myself, warts and all, and it's resonating in a way that I actually never would have expected. Here's a quote I got on LinkedIn. "This is so refreshing. The imperfections in your delivery actually make it more relatable. We're craving authenticity over polish these days. Embracing those stumbles might be the secret sauce that keeps listeners coming back." Now, honestly, I had no idea if it would work. I mean, who wants to hear my nasally voice stumble through my own thoughts? I know I sure don't. But ironically, it already has cracked the top 10 and number 3, actually, Canadian-based podcasts on truefans.fm. Yes, can you believe that? Now, it's not the Spotify top 10, and I'm not trending, and I'm not even trying to be Joe Rogan with marathon interviews. Honestly, I didn't expect anything. I just uploaded a few back episodes so there'd be something else to listen to. And you're in more countries than reading the newsletter. Now, I didn't see that coming either. And honestly, I almost didn't do this, just like I almost didn't do the newsletter. But that's where my mentor stepped in. So huge shout out to Elise Bennon for suggesting I start a podcast and not letting me try to talk myself out of it. And to Lisa Christoffel for backing Elise up and helping me build those tiny habits to make things happen. Like the newsletter, it's messy. And that's just the audio. Wait until I start adding guests on video. Now, people who've been reading since that first issue have noticed a difference. The writing is getting better. There's less fluff around the middle. And it's an easy, fast read, apparently, even though most are over 1,000 words. Now, let's bring this back to you. I didn't wait until the newsletter was quote-unquote good. It improved with your feedback. Same with the audio version and everything else I try. I already know my first proper podcast with the guest on video, I'm gonna cringe. But that's part of it. We all suck doing something for the first time. Every single one of us. There's no escaping it. Here's the part most of us avoid. You don't need it to be good. It just needs to exist. Not with a big launch, not with the perfect plan, just putting something out there without telling one at first if you need to. Make it messy if it has to be. Now it's your turn. What have you been sitting on? Is it a newsletter, an offer, a podcast, something you kept saying not yet to? This is your sign. Start it today. Waiting isn't making it better. It's just keeping it invisible. Now, be sure to let me know what it is. I'll cheer you on, and yeah, I'm probably going to hold you to it. All right. Make it a great, messy week.